Well, hi there, everybody. My name is Tony Grillo, and welcome back to the channel, Wisconsin Hugs. I'm a truck driver. Most of you know that, and I make these videos while I'm in my semi truck, waiting to get my pick up my load or deliver my load, and or sometimes when I'm sitting around the truck stop, and that's how I communicate with all of you. I try to find interesting things to talk about and maybe do some spoofs and try to be funny whenever I can. But this is a crazy story here. I do drive the Midwest region. I'm out of Wisconsin, and I haul basically the 5-state area, so I'll be in Michigan, I'll be in Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, and I will run in Minnesota, Iowa, sometimes I'm in Kansas, Missouri, and then I will also maybe hit North or South Dakota. And so that's mainly the areas that I run. And this is a crazy story because I was just in Ohio on Sunday, and I was in this area. But this happened on Tuesday, actually yesterday. A horrifying moment. Ohio cops fire hail of bullets at hijackers, 54 and 51, after they kidnapped a trucker in his truck. And in Yahoo News says truck driver held hostage for hours and then gunfire erupts. Ohio cops say 2 are dead. That's the 2 kidnappers. Cops opened fire on hostage-taking kidnappers after a 4-hour standoff in victim's semi-truck. And in a horrifying moment, police opened fire at hijackers after they hold a trucker hostage. So, from what I know about the story so far, it occurred over near London, Ohio, and then it ended over by the Dayton International Airport. That's about a distance of 47.4 miles. That's mainly on Highway 70, which, if you're not familiar with that area, I kind of put the map, made it a little bit bigger so you can see where where the area is from London to Dayton, and then it's kind of like right in the middle of all these major cities like Cincinnati, Columbus, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Detroit's to the north. So it's right in that area. You can see where Louisville and Lexington are off to the south, but so it's just north of Cincinnati, and yeah, it's right in this area right here.
Police are at the scene of an ongoing hostage situation by the Dayton International Airport. Ohio State Highway Patrol says it started out as a chase in London around 1 this morning. They say the suspects are a man and woman. They then hijacked a truck with the driver inside. The chase ended around 2:50 by the Dayton International Airport. Right now, negotiators are working to get them to surrender peacefully.
Tonight, a hostage situation ending early this morning with shots fired by officers.
Both suspects involved have now died from their injuries, and no one else was hurt. Now, the incident started in London, Ohio, ending in Vandalia, at Dayton International Airport Access Road.
Now, we have team coverage for you tonight, covering all angles of this. We want to start with Melena Brown, who's live by the airport where this chase came to an end. Melena?
Adam, just within the last 30 minutes, I saw the cab of that semi-truck get pulled off the highway. When I was here earlier for hours, it was blocked off by law enforcement. Now it's clear, and it all started with a traffic stop about 40 miles from here in London. In the early hours of Wednesday morning, a London police officer made a traffic stop after noticing a car with no taillights and no visible registration.
As the officer approached the vehicle, he obtained some information from the driver and passenger that was apparently bogus information.
The male and female suspects then took off in the vehicle before pulling over at a truck rest stop off I-70 in London.
They abandoned that vehicle and ran through the lot. As he was able to try and approach the male suspect, attempted to tase him, and that's when he first noticed the male pulled a handgun and pointed it at the officer.
They then hijacked a semi-truck with the driver inside, taking him hostage, which led to a chase across I-70 to the Dayton International Airport in Vandalia.
There was negotiations that were occurring from around that 3:23 time frame when the vehicle came to a stop or shortly thereafter until about 7:30 this morning.
After hours of negotiation attempts, troopers approached the vehicle to remove the victim, but shots began to ring out, leading to return fire. Both suspects were hit.
Once at the hospital, the female suspect did succumb to her injuries and was pronounced deceased at the hospital.
And hours later, the male suspect also died at Miami Valley Hospital after being in critical condition. The investigation is now in the hands of the state. We do know that the victim, the truck driver that was held hostage in this situation, is okay. He only sustained minor injuries, but we also don't know the names of those two suspects that were killed yet. Back to you.
60 degrees.
Team 7 coverage continues with News Center 7's John Bedell.
John, you talked with a trucking company about training their drivers go through if they ever have to face something like this.
James and Cheryl, this is the stretch of airport access road where that semi ended up. And James, as you just mentioned, some 13 hours later, this semi is still here. Airport access road still closed. That's one of the guys from Sandy's working to get this thing ready to haul away. That local trucking company told me they train to prevent these situations as best they can, but said there's only so much you can do when someone has bad intentions. Tom Milby has worked in the trucking industry for decades, but as he started his day Wednesday, he couldn't believe what happened to one truck driver.
Yeah, I saw that on Channel 7 this morning, was following it. It was like, that's amazing. Because you don't hear a bunch of hijackings anymore. Back in the 60s and 70s, you heard a lot about hijacking, but you don't get that anymore. You see more of trailer theft than you do actually stealing the truck and the driver.
Milby says criminals are more often targeting products truck drivers are hauling, not the drivers themselves, because of the value of those products.
The trucking industry hauls millions of dollars of products. I mean, it could be from a 2x4 to a whole truckload of computers, electronics, worth millions of dollars. That's the main reason people want to steal these type of items.
As the VP of Safety at Xenia Township-based Home Run Inc., Milby says that's why it's so important to train drivers to handle all kinds of situations. Milby says they keep an eye on their drivers with technology.
We've got cameras in the trucks, watches inside the truck, outside the truck, and we got tracking devices on the trucks.
He says they also teach their drivers about situational awareness at truck stops.
If you're at a truck stop, stay in a lidded area. Always watch your surroundings going from and to the truck. That way, and stay in a safe, more populated truck stops.
But Milby added sometimes that training might not stop someone with bad intentions.
Drivers, all the training in the world, if these thieves, they've been doing this probably a long time, and they scout things out very well. Sometimes you'll get in a situation like that.
Back live here in Vandalia, you can see this is a Werner truck. I reached out to the company for comment today. They said they know their driver is safe after getting hurt. They added in part, we're focused on making sure he's receiving all the care and treatment he needs. Werner Enterprises thanks the state and local authorities who rescued our driver, and they have our full cooperation during this investigation. You can read the full statement News Center 7 got from Werner today on our website, WHIO.com. We're live along Airport Access Road in Vandalia tonight. I'm John Bedell, News Center 7.
Yeah, John, just real quick. I know I could see behind you on the passenger side of that semi a whole slew of gunshot holes, as was the case on the driver's side window of that semi when officers fired at those two people this morning.
Correct, and I believe James's photographer Scott is listening. Scott is showing what we believe, James, to be those bullet holes. As you mentioned, we can see. Looks to me from here they're marked with some evidence markers. They're numbered so state troopers can track them as they take pictures of the scene. And then also you can see several bullet holes, as you mentioned, James, on the driver's side of that window. Again, as I believe that's one of the co-owners of Sandy's actually underneath this cab, getting ready to finally tow it away from this scene here in Vandalia.
A good explanation. That's why it was so methodical. That's why they've been there more than 13 hours trying to gather every piece of evidence as they work through this case. John Bedell live tonight, not too far from Dayton International.
So here's where I am. I'm at actually Millbank, South Dakota. I'm at a place called Valley Queen, and they make cheese here. And Millbank is kind of like out in the middle of nowhere, and there's other trucks sitting here, and yeah, I'm just sitting here, you know, waiting for that. I checked in already, and I'm just waiting for them to give me word as to what dock they want me to go to, so I can go pick up my load. That is a really scary situation right there. It appears that the truck driver himself, he was a bobtail. Obviously he wasn't hauling a trailer, and he must have been sleeping. And you know, one of the things that I got from the story that this driver did wrong was he didn't have his doors locked to his cab, and that's a big no-no. At least I always lock the doors to my cab. He also left the keys in the ignition. Now, I do that because I have in the past, if I left, you know, if you don't stick the keys in the ignition before you go to bed, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you'll be like looking for your keys, like, where did I put them, you know? And I've done that where I spent 20-30 minutes trying to find a damn key, you know, but that's probably another thing that maybe I shouldn't be doing either, is leaving the key in the ignition. I mean, it was pretty clear that those people, you know, and this is the other thing too, this couple, this man and this woman, I mean, they took off on they you know, they fled the cops. Why did they flee? Why were they on the run? You know, it'll be interesting to find out who those people are. But then, they were being chased, and they went right to a truck stop that happened to be there, and they were on foot, and you could see the guy getting tased in the video, and he had a gun, but he didn't fire the gun. I don't understand how that guy still was able to get back up and jump into it. I mean, why wasn't he tackled right at that moment? Unless maybe the cops saw the gun and he backed off, you know, and took off in a different direction, took for cover, and then, you know, and then because he had his taser, but he didn't have his gun on him, and that's probably what happened. And that gave that guy enough time. Taser must have not worked, and that gave enough time, you know, that guy enough time to get back on his feet. Him and a lady hopped into the first semi truck that they saw parked there. I'm thinking too that he must have had his truck idling, you know, so he probably, because it's hot and it's in the summer, and he was a cab, and so he had his key in there. He probably had the truck idling. You know, he doesn't sound like he had a bunk. You know, like I have a bunk system here. Like we call it a portable heating cooling unit in my truck. So I don't idle my truck. I run that unit that's on there, and that saves us a lot of money, you know, because when you idle a truck, you'll burn 1 gallon an hour. But if you run that machine, the bunk heater or the cooling heater, you can use 1 gallon per 8 hours. So it's a significant savings, especially with, you know, diesel fuel as high as it is. And so, and then you run every day. So, it can be a huge savings. But obviously this Werner truck, the driver was probably in his bunk sleeping. He had the truck idling because he was running the air conditioner, and he left the doors unlocked, which, we can't do that, especially in Ohio. Man, Ohio is a kind of a hotbed area of crime. I hate to say it, but yeah, there are areas of Ohio that, have a reputation even among us truck drivers. We've heard the stories that go on in Ohio, and so of crime that goes on out there, and so but hey, I just think the driver's okay, because did you see all the bullet holes that were on that truck? I mean, if the driver was in the sleeper when he was being held hostage, I'm sure that's where he was, and all of a sudden they started opening fire. He must have he was probably trying to hide as good as he could in the back of his sleeper, and he even had a window in his sleeper, and I don't know if any of the bullets hit that window or not, but he could have been hit easily. He could have been hit, and he could have been collateral damage. But thank God, driver's okay. That must have been a hell of a ordeal that driver went through. But thank God he's okay, but what'll be funny about that is, these truck drivers, pretty tough breed. I bet he'll be back in the truck tomorrow. They'll just send him a new truck and he'll be back driving tomorrow, and I'm sure he's probably going to tell his story. So if he does, I'm going to follow this story, and I will add an update. And when we find out who the two people are that hijacked this truck, I want to find out who those people are, and I'm going to put them on my channel as well. So, all right, everybody. Hey, have a great day. Wisconsin hugs.